So the last and ultimate hard question we're taking on this week is, how can it be that God always was and always will be? We're talking about eternity. We're talking about forever. We're talking about heaven. I remember being about 6 years old and asking my mom, like, who made God? And her response was great. She said, nobody made God. God always was. And he always will be. So in my little brain, I was trying to think, like, going back a zillion, billion, trillion years, and God was. And then going forward a billion, zillion, trillion years, and God will be. And that the whole concept of infinity or eternity is beyond us, because for us, everything we experience is limited. There's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end. How do you wrap your mind around the infinite? And yet we believe that God is infinite, always was, always will be, because otherwise he wouldn't be God, right? So if God had a beginning, then it would presume that God would have an end, and then he wouldn't be God. The ultimate intelligence, the ultimate power, the ultimate source of all that exists. So space is infinite. And I had to think about that as a kid too. It's like, it isn't like you can send a rocket ship and 50 billion miles away you come up against this brick wall and that's the end of space, because there's going to be something beyond the brick wall. So the idea that God is eternal and infinite, as much as we can't understand it, in the end becomes the most fundamental truth of our life, because it means that we are destined to live forever with God. So the real question of life is not, what am I going to do for dinner tonight, or what am I going to do the next weekend, or even what am I going to do with my life? The real question is, where do you want to be 1,000 billion years from now? Obviously we want to be with God. So this little life, this little blip of time that we have, is the only moment we have to live by faith and to do something beautiful for God that no one else can do. So when I'm burdened by problems or anxieties or whatever, I just try to remember that in light of eternity, this is nothing, or we're just passing through. So it means in about 11 minutes, relatively speaking, God is going to judge our life and ask us, what did you do with your life? Did you give it away? Did you sacrifice it? Did you give it to the great task and mission of loving God and others? Or did you just kind of live it for yourself? This is our moment to get it right, because we want to live forever with God. God always was, always will be. Can't even pretend to understand it, but I believe it, and I know you do too.